Well, I don't have a separator big enough to get this bearing off right here, but I really saw no reason to do that anyway. There is a snap ring down in here that's holding this ring gear to this gear. Just get a hold of it. This will lift right out like so. Put it back together. Need to come up from the bottom with this snap ring. Get that back in where it goes. Have to move it around a little bit, get it to snap in there. There we go. Alright, well, I'm going to break down the rest of the components. I've already taken everything apart, but I put it back together just so I could show how they come apart. There's a piston in this right here, the center section. I'm just going to get a hold of it and slowly start working it up, a little bit at a time. And there we go. Now there's a hole right here. That's where the fluid goes in to make this actuate. Putting it together, new O-rings, a little bit of trans gel on there, and just snap it back in. Alright, well, here's the breakdown on this section here. Pull this one-way clutch off. I'll come back to this one. This is pretty straightforward. There's a snap ring in here holding these clutch packs. Just going to get in with this pick and start working it up. And there's that. And then these packs will just drop out. There's all the packs. The thick washer goes on the outside, so there's all the frictions and the steels for this section. There's actually two pistons in this one. I don't have special tools, so I'm going to show how I've taken this apart. Alright, well, this is my setup for removing this piston right here. Not very elegant, but it will work. I put some blue tape around here to protect the bearing surface. Put the clamps on like so, crank them down. To push the piston down, there's little raised areas that hold that snap ring in. I've got to get below that. Now I can try to get the snap ring out of there. Hopefully it won't fight me too bad. We will see. Little struggle. And there we go. Now I can carefully release the spring tension off this a little bit at a time, each side. It may snap loose or come off like this one's trying to. And this piston comes out like so, and then we've got this cage with the springs on it, and then there's one more piston right in here. The way I've taken this out is to use a bent pick like this and just catch the under edge of that piston and just lightly pry up on it. Now there's a seal under there, so you don't want to go too far down. Just underneath the edge. Alright, well, that took me a few minutes, but there's the piston I was speaking of. Alright, well, here's the one-way clutch. I think these are also called a sprag. There's an anti-rattle clip right here. There's one different place where that goes. I'm just going to leave mine on there. But 4 dots. To take this apart, I'm using this straight pick right here and getting right in this hole right there and just peeling back a little bit and prying up. You only have to do 2 of them, and then this retainer will come right off. And then there's, I don't know, we'll call this a seal. And then if you rotate this, you should be able to pull these out. Well, I'll actually take the other side off and make it easier. Same principle, getting in that hole and kind of working it over the edge and popping that up like so. Push that out right there. Alright, well this is the next piece to disassemble. Pretty much the same principle as the first one. There is a piston in here, I believe. Just working the snap ring out. There's all the clutch packs for it. Again, there's a wider one that goes on the outside. And there is a piston down in here as well with one of those spring things. I'll show the setup for this real quick. Alright, well I had 4 clamps on this. I just couldn't get them all up here on the bench. They're too long. 2 here, 1 here, 1 here. Tighten it up evenly. Push it down just enough to get the snap ring off. And then you can release the tension slowly and get this out of the way. And we're left with the piston down in here. To get it out, using these pliers here, just get down and slowly start working it out. Here's a quick shot of the piston that came out of that bore. Very simple. 2 O-rings ready to go back in. Okay, these 2 components would come apart as well. I'm not going to bother showing that since it's in essence just like what I'd already done. Alright, well I'm taking this pump apart. I've taken out all the bolts with the exception of these 2. They're in there, just a few threads. I'm going to try to tap on those and see if I can knock the plate out from the other side. Here we go. Yeah, and it's hanging now. Don't know if I'm going to have any extra fluid in here or what the deal is, so set that down and pick this up. Yeah, a little bit of fluid there, not bad. So I'll clean all this up, inspect it, and see where I'm at. Alright, well I'm going to tear this valve body apart, starting by removing these solenoids. I'm just going to break them loose. Get the fasteners out of here. This is going to be another long-winded section, I'm sure. See if I can get this out of here. There's 1. 2. There's the 3rd one there. Need to switch over to an 8mm to get these last 2. Those are tight. Wow. Tight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove this one here. It's actually spring loaded and there's a 10mm check ball under it. Get it cracked loose. Those are surprisingly tight. So I'm going to come out with this one slowly. Tools are getting really slick again. Relieve the tension off that. There's the clip, spring, and the ball is in there. It's going to come out when I flip this over. Just leave it there for now. Hopefully I can get the rest of these bolts out with this 1/4 inch. Alright, let's see. Yeah, too tight for a 1/4. Let's try this one. Alright. Exciting stuff. Missed one. And remove the manual shift valve right here. Alright, well I've got it flipped over and we're going to go at this side here. I'm just going to start breaking these loose, the tins. They're kind of specific on which ones to remove here and which order, so I'm trying to abide by that as I get them loose. I'll take them out. Should be all the ones that they want me to remove right now. Take me a minute to get these out of here. I'm just shooting a lot of this in real time because I can't turn the camera off. It's a pain to do that. I don't think I'm going to do any chopping. This may be helpful to folks, like the rest of the video for that matter, in possibly going through your own transmission. I'm not real joyous and joyful on this particular job. It's kind of taken me a while to do it, and shoot the video at that, you know, slows me down 3 times when I go to do videos. But I'm doing it anyway. I've just got a lot of irons in the fire and it's getting hard to keep up. So that was D. For some reason they're calling this E out way over here. Don't know why they couldn't just call it with the rest of those. Who knows? So that's E. Going into these F's. Looks like all of them except this one right here, I believe, if I'm looking at that right. Wrong size. That's the last one, so I'm not taking that one out yet. There is a check ball right underneath this corner. I believe it's 10 millimeters, just like the other one I pulled out. And then we're going to attack this last. Not sure if that's spring loaded. These final two here. Now this one should be relatively short. Yeah, that one appears a little shorter than the other two. Should be able to just remove this cover. So there's that piece. There's a gasket here. Try to get it off in one shot so I can compare with the new one, hoping that it comes with it. Okay. There should be no check balls or anything in this arena with the exception of this one here. It does not feel to be spring loaded. I'm going to remove this right here to 10. Again, not sure if this is spring loaded at the moment. Doesn't feel like it. Definitely not. Got a little bit of excess fluid here. Need to get those balls out of here, but I do not want this to come apart. So I'm going to hold this very tightly. Just flip it real quick. There's one ball. I don't know where the other one went. Well, I'll find it. There it is. Alright. Need to take these accumulator pistons out of here if I can do it with my slimy hands. These are spring loaded, so I'm going to attempt, I can't even see this one. Try to turn that snap ring so I can get a hold of it there. Those pliers don't quite close up enough. Let me try this set here. Need to put my head in here, but I'm trying not to. I get so frustrated with, oh man, so frustrated with snap rings. Let me try this other one since I can see it. Okay, there's one at least. Okay, so we've got a retainer on the top. We've got two springs here that are red. And there's a piston down in here. Gonna lose some fluid. Piston. Okay, I'm going to tack this one again if I can. comes. Yeah. Alright, another retainer. And this side, it looks like I've got a white spring and a purple. Another piston. I'm not sure if these are the same. They look the same. That has a number on the bottom. It looks like 6, and that looks like it's either a 6 or an 8. It almost looks like a 9 on that one. And this looks like an 8. I'm going to call that 8 and 9. No, they're both 8s or 6s or 9s. Who knows? Whatever. Alright. I need to get this turned over, but there are a bunch of balls in the top of this, and I do not want to lose them. So I'm just holding it like so, flipping it over, and now I can remove this right here. Alright, continuing on, I've got 2 screen filters I need to get out of here. There's one right here, if I can get it with these. There we go. There's one, a large one, and then there's a small one right here. There we go. There are, I believe, 4 check balls in here. No, 5 check balls. There's one sitting right here. They're all the same, 5.5 millimeter. They're not steel. They seem to be plastic. There's another one here. One here. One here. Was that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Alright, well, I'm going to do this portion right here. It starts with what they're calling a cooler relief valve spring. Valve and spring. And there is a spring below it. Looks like mine's white. And then I know there are 4 balls in this area. 5. Can't seem to count today. There's one right here. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now they show another one right here in this pocket, but it says not used on all models. Hole in plate takes a ball. No hole in plate, no ball. So let me grab my plate here and set it back on. It's actually right here. There is a hole here, but there is no hole where that ball would be, so no hole in plate, no ball. That's what I'm going with. Alright, well, I gave this a cursory cleaning. Here's a word to the wise. If you do what I just did, make sure you do not lose any of these keepers. I was rinsing it off in the sink and I watched one of them come out and go right down the drain. I, of course, can't find my stick magnet, and I kind of need it to get these out, but I'm going to try a different approach just to keep moving on. But I had to take the drain apart to get it out. Anyway, there are 5 valve assemblies in here. They're going to be laid out in order in which the pieces come out. They will be bagged, they'll be kept with this, and then they'll be put back in when I go back together. Even though some of these pieces look the same, they're really not. So rather than try to measure things and figure it out, I'm just going to do it that way. The second one in here, see this right here? This, before it comes out, needs to be marked for position. that is a factory adjustment that's done right there, so I need to ensure that I get it right back the way it was. So this is coming across this way. Obviously, I don't think that changes. It's the piece underneath it that can be turned or rotated, perhaps. Mine has the tall shoulders right here, left and right, and then they kind of stair step down. So it's kind of in the middle range. So everything here shoots straight across. That's just for my reference. I'm going to start with this one on the end and call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the way they're going to be laid out and bagged. I'm going to try to use these forceps to get this keeper out of here, if I can. I'm going to push a little bit of a tension on it, and there's the keeper right there. So it gets laid over beside me. This may or may not slide right out. I may have to tap it, and hopefully it will come out. May have to try to get in there with a pick. I'm just kind of winging it because I do not know the best way to get this apart. Be careful not to damage anything. See, already I'm having difficulties. I know that comes out. That should be all that's holding it in there. Yep. So let me futz around with this and get this one out, and we'll move on.